Good boy, Tucker.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
Work smarter where you want.
Consistency is key.
And remember, if it's not in Redtail, it never happened.
This is learning at its most fun.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Curtis, and welcome to another Thursday webinar. Today, we're going to be covering a product overview of imaging. All right, so we're not actually going to be really doing anything about the CRM other than talking about how it links with our imaging program. But if you're not familiar with what imaging is it's a document storage program. So it is separate from the CRM. It does have its own subscription. But if you already do use the CRM, it's the exact same username and password. So you don't have to have a different login. You can even automatically just single sign on from the CRM over to imaging. Easy enough, and we'll definitely demonstrate that. So what I'm going to do is hop over to the actual website here. So I'm already logged into imaging itself. And so this is what it looks like. If you're not familiar with how to actually first log in, I'm just going to open up a website here. We'll go to redtailtechnology.com. You'll see it takes us directly to the corporate page. And then over on the right-hand side, when I choose login, I can either choose CRM or I can choose imaging. And again, you just put in your username and password, and it'll take you directly to the screen that we're on right here. And so again, imaging is document storage. Now, one thing that we do like to point out is it is FINRA and SEC compliant. And so what that means is essentially, it's called WORM. So WORM, write once, read many. So that's what mainly makes it compliant for an actual paperless solution. So you can upload a document, and because it's stored in one, it is in one location, but it's stored in multiple locations, you can upload that document, file it away in your imaging database, and then shred that document, and you are perfectly compliant. All right, so first off, a general overview of imaging in a sense is up at the top, we have the home button. We also have where it says libraries, indexes, reporting, and tools. The first thing that says libraries is it automatically defaults and gives you three separate libraries, either a client library, corporate, and unfiled. You then have the ability to add individual user libraries if you want. This is actually completely optional. Mainly this gets used if you have multiple advisors and each advisor wants to keep their actual file separate from each other. Now, again, if you don't worry about having multiple advisors and keeping things separate, you can just keep everything under the client library because that's what everything defaults to, is just the general client library here. But again, if I want to add one, you can just choose add library over here, and it's just a high level way to separate all of your documents. Next to that, we have indexes. Now, we'll talk about this a little more later on after we build a few things inside of here, but indexes are a way to make things easy, a little easier to search for your document. So for instance, instead of just searching by the name of the document, you can narrow it down to maybe attaching an account number or a specific date, or or different types of any kind of word that you want to associate with that document. You can index it so it's easier to find. After that, we also have the reporting, where you can find history log about everything that's happening inside the database, as well as like images added, storage totals, tells you everything that's inside the system so you can keep an eye on what's going on. And then lastly, on this top box is we have the tools, and it says download Retriever. Now, if you're familiar with Redtail CRM, we do have a program called Retriever for Tailwag, which is a sync with Outlook. This Retriever is completely different. This Retriever is specific for imaging, and what it does is gives you a way to download something to your desktop. And again, you have to have a Windows machine, so you can't use it if you have a Mac, but it downloads a program to your desktop where you can actually manage all of your imaging. So that way you don't always have to log into the system. You can just drag and drop your files over into this Retriever tool and then store them and then manage them from there. Now, first off, let's talk about building a folder structure. When you want to add a folder, and again, it's a document storage, you get to create exactly what it's going to look like. Everything in here we've manually put in. So all these folders have been manually put in. To add a folder, you can choose on the right-hand side, the little icon, and then choose add new folder. All you have to do is then type the name of what you want that folder to do, and it's going to put it automatically in the client library right here. So you'll notice that we have a structure of, last name comma first name, and we do that. And again, it's up to you. If you want to do every single client on the main page, you can. I've seen other people create folders that start with the letter A, B, C, D, all the way down the alphabet. And so that way they separate it by last name that way. But it is up to you to determine how you want to create your folder structure for your actual database. Now, once you create it, for instance, you'll see Bill Adams right here has one. I can open it up, and there's all these subfolders. So just like any kind of external hard drive or on your computer, you can create a file with subfiles and even subfiles inside of those. So you can keep going down the rabbit hole as far as you want. Now, when you're creating a new folder and then going into it and then creating the subfolders, that can get to be a lot of work, to where I'm then going in over here inside his folder and then adding new folders. So there's a trick that I like to point out. So I'm going to go back to the main client library, and you'll see the first one that I have up here, there's a little dash and this says folder structure template. I've created this in order to have all the subfolders be exactly the same. So when I open up this folder structure template, you'll see here's all the subfolders that I want to have in every single file. So instead of actually from the client library, come over to the right-hand side and choosing to add a new folder from here, I go straight to my folder structure template. I choose this action button. Now with this action button, you'll see I can upload an image, scan an image to this folder, rename it, copy, move, or add to the folder, or delete it. So this is what I can actually do, but what I'm going to use is the copy folder. So what I'm doing is copying this folder and all the subfolders underneath it, and then giving it a new name. So instead of just adding the main folder, then going in and one by one creating the subfolders, I am just copying one that already exists. So that way I have a consistency with all of my folders. So let's actually create this. I'm going to actually create a folder structure for Clark Kent. He's a new client that we have in our CRM database. Now I'm creating his actual folder in imaging. So we're going to do Kent, comma, Clark, and then just copy. Perfect. All right. So now if I scroll down to the K's, we're going to find right here, Clark Kent. And you'll see it was added less than 5 seconds ago. It actually tells me. So I can actually open this up and I'll see here's all the subfolders underneath his contact record. And so again, that's going to be consistency with my actual database. If I go back to the client library, I'm going to scroll back down to Kent. There we go. What you'll also notice over here on the right, not only do I have when it was added, but there's some of these icons right here, this little person icon. What this is actually referring to is if this folder is linked to a contact record in the CRM. So this only pertains if you use the CRM and imaging. If you only use the imaging product, this won't be something that you'll do because you don't have access to the CRM. But what I want to do here is I want to link Clark Kent to his actual contact record in the CRM. And to do that, I'm going to go back to the action button. And this time down at the bottom, it's going to choose Link CRM Contact. Now that's going to take me to this page to where I'll see the CRM contact name and I can search for it. So I'm going to type in Kent. It's going to search for me. You'll see there's a few people here and I can choose Clark. Now with folders and imaging, I can actually link this one folder to multiple contact records if I like. So for instance, instead of doing each individual folder for each individual family member, you can actually go in and create a folder called the Kent family and then link it to every single person who is part of the Kent family. All right, we're going to scroll back down to Clark Kent. Now that he's linked, you'll see over here to the right, there he has that icon and it's telling me it is linked to someone. I can click on it and see who they're linked to. So he is linked to Clark Kent. Now, how do I view that in the CRM? So I'm actually going to jump over to the CRM for just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is search for his name. So I'm going to type in Kent. And now I'm going to go click on his contact name. And then over to the left-hand side, under his name, I can choose Documents. Now, at first, this is going to default to the CRM document storage, which is part of the CRM. But if I go over to the right-hand side under Document Views, I can then click on Redtail Imaging Documents. And this is then going to load up to show me what is linked to this contact. And you'll see here's Clark Kent and all of those subfolders. And again, easy enough, I just copied the original folder structure template, and didn't have to rewrite everything because it was already built out for me. Now, one other thing I do like to point out is we've recently made updates in regards to clicking on documents on the left-hand side. So since it does default to CRM document storage, since it is part of the CRM, you now have the ability in your preferences to change it to default to imaging if you would like. So to do that, what you want to do is go to your name in the top right and then choose preferences. Once you're on the preferences page, you can scroll down to where it says contact record, and the second option will say default document view. And if you change this over to imaging and then make sure those preferences are saved, and then I'm going to go back to Clark. So I'm going to type in Kent right up here again, click on his name, and then we're going to click documents. What you'll notice now is it goes straight to imaging. It's not going to go to the CRM document storage, and where I have to click again, it's going to go straight to the actual imaging folder. Perfect. And so that saves a little bit of time now instead of having to click over here on the document views. All right, so we're going to jump back over to the imaging site itself. Now, again, we have Clark Kent. If I need to upload an image now, I can go into his folder. And let's say I want to upload some documents in regards to an investment paperwork. So I go into that folder, and up at the top, you'll see I'm in the client library under Kent, Clark, under investments. It tells me exactly what folder I'm in. If I want to upload a document, all I have to do is come over here to the right and then either choose upload image or scan image. Now, the difference is upload image means the document already exists on my computer. And then when I select this, I can either drag and drop into this section or choose to select from the computer where that image is. The other option is if I choose to scan an image, means it's not on a computer yet, and it means I actually have a scanner that's hooked to my computer. So once you choose to scan an image, you might get a pop-up here asking you to download the service. Now, in regards to a scanner, you do need to have a scanner that is has a Twain driver, like Mark Twain, Twain. What that actually means, the Twain driver allows an actual scanner to scan directly to an internet website. That's what that is for. Now, most scanners are Twain compliant or Twain capable, I guess. If it doesn't have one, I normally suggest go to the manufacturer website, and they have the ability to have you download the driver to your actual scanner so you can do that. But again, once it's hooked up and you have those the drivers downloaded, you can then choose to scan, and it goes directly to the actual imaging product. So that way you don't have to scan it to your computer, and then from there, upload it to imaging. You just scan it directly to imaging. Now, again, we have both ways because sometimes people like to scan a lot to their computer, then upload them individually. Normally, the scanning option is when I just have one or two documents that I want to go directly to this client. It's easier to do smaller bits of scanning this way than to do it it's easier to do smaller bits of scanning on this than do large bits where you want to upload to your computer first, then scan over. And that's just my suggestion. It's all a personal preference, really. All right, so coming back over to the client library, once you have documents and folders and you've started creating this, you'll notice some things will change. Like over here to the right-hand side, you'll see how many subfolders and images and how much space you've actually used in your database. Now also over here, we have a graph so you can see that information. Same thing goes with your reporting tools. You can see like the history log and see every single time something happens, it makes a note of what's actually happening. I can come over to images added and just get some idea of what's happening in regards to this database. When are images being added, who's adding them, how much is being added, just gives you a lot of that information. Now, once those files and folders are uploaded, then you can start to index them. Now, again, indexing is a way to create different fields you can search by that's just past the name of the document. Now, if you only want to search by the name of the document, that's going to be easy. All you have to do is come over here to the right and just choose search, and you can type in the name and it'll bring up any folder. So if I just type in Kent, it's going to show me any document. So this is a document that's called Clark, Kent, and here's folders with the last name Kent as well. It shows me everything really easily. And again, that's just using the search in the top right. But if I want to go further, if I want to put an account number to a document, I don't want the account number in the name of the document, but I want to attach an account number or something else, I can use indexes. So by going to indexes at the top, I first want to choose to manage. Now, when you manage, this list will actually be blank, but you get to create what you want these fields to be. So for instance, if I want to add an index field, I can choose what I want the name of that to be and how I want to put the value. So whether it's a text box, so free-form text, true or false with the value yes or no, or a list box, a drop-down of options, I can choose that. So for instance, coming back over to indexes and manage, you'll see I already have quite a few, whereas account number is one of those. So account number is a field, and I can put it in as a text, free-form text. Now again, this is just managing the different options. You also see there's things like account company. If I want, BD document has yes or no as an option. I can actually put, is the value yes or no? If you want to put things like date added and put a text box for that. You can even do doc add month, and it gives me an option. Okay, I can choose different months that I want as a drop down. You have a lot of control over how you want to create these indexes. But again, keep in mind, it's creating fields that have different values so you can search by those values in those specific fields. Now, if I want to actually add an index, different ways you can do it. If I go to indexes and then choose add missing, it's going to list every single document that doesn't have any indexes on it. So for instance, I can come over to, we'll say this one was added, and I can choose the action button and choose to view/add indexes to this document. Now, all of those fields that I created in the manage of indexes show right here, and I can go through and fill them out if I want. You don't have to fill every single one out. That's up to you. But for here, I'm just going to put, we'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's say that's the account number. Super simple. But now that it's in here, and if I scroll down, and again, I can fill out as many as I want and just hit save changes, I've now indexed that document. It's no longer in this list. Now, if I want to search for any document that has that account number on it, all I have to do is go to indexes at the top, then choose search. When you're at the search on the right-hand side, you'll see those same fields that you created, and the account number will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, and run the search. And now here's that same document. It popped up because it had this as the account number attached to it. And again, you can index a folder or a document. The add missing is specific to documents, but if I want to start indexing folders, just go back to your library and then find that folder, choose the action button, and right here, view/add indexes. And you can do that with anything that you add into the imaging database.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.